Okay, so we are live once again. Here we are at Santa Barbara on the west coast of America in California. And we are in the Hondajet, which you can see is a pretty nice looking light jet aircraft. There's a A330 by the looks of it pulling up on one of the gates behind us, making a little bit of noise. So today's flight is going to take us over to Las Vegas. It's going to be a fairly short flight, and first of all then let's turn on the systems, let things warm up, and we can go ahead and enter our flight plan. So here's a depiction of our flight plan. We're starting on the lower left side of the page, from Santa Barbara, following an RNAV departure, which I'll explain in a moment, down towards Camarillo, and then routing up towards Boulder City and Las Vegas. I think that the departure that we'll be flying is this one. Is a MISEN R3 RNAV departure. I think we'll check in a minute, but I think we'll be departing runway 7. So we are to climb on heading 075 to 520 feet. And sorry, we won't be using runway 7. We'll be using runway 25. So that's climb on heading 255, intercept course 175 SRRA, and then on track 121 to EDDEN, and then from there to MISEN. So we'll be climbing initially to 15,000 feet on the departure. Our cruising altitude will be 30,000 feet, and so we'll go ahead and start to program the aircraft. The Hondajet is a very light jet, which is certified to be operated with one pilot only. There are quite a lot of things that are automated, such as all the lighting systems and stuff. All the checklists are electronic, which is pretty cool. So first of all, what we'll do is we're going to set up our weights and payloads. So let me have a little look first to see. So we have one pilot and one passenger at the moment. So let's run the system tests first of all, pre-flight. So the fire detection is running. And that should complete just in a moment. That's complete. Stall protection is running now. So that's complete, and the switch lights are all illuminated and now off. So that's the pre-flight checks done. Weight and balance. So crew and stores, we have 170 pounds for the crew. Payload, we have one passenger at 170 pounds. These are assumed weights. And we have 150 pounds of cargo. We have 2,000 pounds of fuel on board, oh, not 20,000, 2,000. And so there we go. So we have V1 of 109 knots, VR of 113, and V2 of 120. So we'll need to remember that for later on. So let's bring up the checklists. Actually, before we do the checklists, let's enter in the flight plan. So our origin is KSBA, Santa Barbara. We're going to KLAS, which is Las Vegas, and we will add in our flight plan, which is a fairly simple flight plan. We will be flying using 2 waypoints, which are both intersections. Missing MISEN. So departure, we will be using runway 25, and we will be flying a mission 3 departure. Transition is, let's have a look. NNAVY. So we'll load that in, and so we've removed that waypoint, that's fine. And our arrival into Vegas should be I think we should be aiming for 26 left. The arrival will be a Romeo November Delta Romeo Zulu 2, and the transition waypoint should be missing. So that's loaded in. So let's have a look. So that looks good. We have no... Alright. So that's the flight plan entered. I'm going to split this page in half, and on the second page we'll have the traffic information, and so that's us all set up. The other thing that we'll need to do is dial in our cruising altitude of 30,000 feet, and we can start running the checklist. So before starting engine checklists, these checklists, you won't be able to see them too good, but they're on the left hand side of the primary flight display. Like I say, everything's electronic on this plane, which is kind of cool. So batteries are on, oxygen is checked on and normal, pressurization is normal, electrical system is on and normal, ELT is normal, nose wheel steering is normal, the landing gear is down, we have 3 greens, alternate gear release handle is stowed, the park and brake is set, flaps are up, thrust levers are in the cut-off position, speed brake is retracted, ice protection is normal and off, the fuel panel, let's have a look. Fuel panel, we have 2,000 pounds of fuel on board, 630 in each wing tank and 750 pounds in the center. So, and that's all normal. Trim panel. Okay, so let's set the trim for takeoff. So there we go. So the trim panel is checked, set, and normal. Windshield heat panel is normal. Pneumatic panel normal. Glare shield panel is dark. Chimes are normal, and the avionics initialization is completed. So that's the before start engine checklist complete. Let's run the start engine checklist. So passenger briefing, well, if we had a real passenger we would brief them, so we'll say that's complete. The rudder pedals are adjusted. I can reach both the deflection each way and the brakes. Seats and seat belts are adjusted and secure. The doors are closed. Parking brakes set. We have no KLAS messages to review at the moment. Let's just check the electrical panel. Electrical, so we have 24.3 volts on each side. So it's 23.5 minimum, so that's fine. Right, let's press the start on engine 1. We'll change to the outside view. So engine 1 is spooling up. And let's add in the fuel. So engine instrumentation is in the green. So let's start on 2. Okay, bring in the fuel. So everything's in the green, everything's normal. So engine instruments checked. Engine anti-ice is not required. External power is disconnected anyway. And the flight controls: forward, back, left, right, rudder left, brakes. The flight controls are free and correct. And that concludes the start an engine checklist. So let's, before we go to the next checklist, let's just check on the weather. Okay, so it will be, as I suspected, runway 25. We have very light winds, 10 miles visibility, a few clouds, and the temperature is 14 degrees. So let's set the altimeter 3005 as advised by the ATIS, and we have one message: cabin power off, so that's on. 3005 is in. Right, the other thing is transponder code. So we've not filed a flight plan, so we're going to squawk 1200 as we will be departing VFR, and we will speak to ATC once in the air and ask for flight follow, and they'll give us another squawk code and we'll enter that in then. So The before taxi checklist. The wing anti-ice is not required. Transponder code is entered at 1200. Flight ID is Honda 1976. Confirmed. Flight plan is entered. The navigation source is now set to FMS. Altimeters are set 3005. Flaps will set for takeoff. Speed brake we will check. So that's extended and retracted. Cabin signs are seatbelt signs are on, no smoking signs are now on, and the parking brake we will release once we ask for pushback.
Santa Barbara ground, Honda 1976 requesting pushback. Honda 1976 pushback request accepted.
Okay, this is one of the quirks of flight sim. The little pushback man always kind of approaches from the wrong direction, and in fact he's disappeared, so I'm not quite sure. He disappeared, so we can do this without a pushback. We got enough room to turn. So we'll go ahead and end the checklist with parking brakes released. So let's have a quick look at the taxi chart. So the taxi chart is runway 25 is the runway that runs from the right hand side of the page to the left. There are two intersecting runways, 33 left and right, 15 left and right. We are just to the right hand side of the page. If you look in the lower corner, lower left corner where it's zoomed in, we're by the terminal. So if there's enough space here, hopefully there is, I'll be able to spin the aircraft round. We'll make a 180 and then turn left on taxiway Bravo, and then a right turn onto Alpha towards the holding point for runway 25. So let's go ahead and ask for our taxi clearance. We'll be initially routing to the east. So
Santa Barbara ground, Honda 1976 ready to taxi east, departure with uniform. Honda 1976 taxi to an altitude of runway 25 using taxiway Bravo Alpha Golf.
Bravo Alpha Golf. Okay. So we're cleared to taxi, so let's turn off the plenty of room for an aircraft this size to turn around. So we didn't have to worry about taxi lights or anything like that. The aircraft takes care of everything itself. As I say, it's all set up for single pilot operation. So this is taxiway Bravo. So we can run the taxi checklists. So brakes are good. Nose wheel steering is working, and the flight instruments are checked. So we need to make a right turn here onto Alpha. And the holding point for runway 25 is just up here on the left hand side at Golf. So we'll run up to the holding point and then we'll run through the before takeoff checks. Let's tune to the tower as well. Okay, so here we are at the holding point for runway 25. Let's just apply the brakes. So, the before takeoff checks. The flaps are set for takeoff. The trims are set for takeoff, -4. Speed brake is retracted. We have no messages to review. Navigation is set, flight plan is in, and we have FMS set to as our active source. Flight guidance is set. The takeoff data is confirmed. We have a VNAV of a V1 of 109 knots. And we will be rotating at 113. V2 is 120. So that is confirmed. Takeoff briefing is complete. We're flying a mission 3 departure, which we've already briefed for. So we'll be departing, making a left turn, and tracking up towards Camarillo, and then picking up our flight plan not far after there. So the takeoff briefing is complete. Radar is as required, and ice protection is also as required, which is not required. So that's the before takeoff checks complete. Let me just pull these checklists down a bit. So the after takeoff checklist will be the next checklist. Let's talk to the tower and ask for our turns. So the winds are just the same as when 8 to 8 was it? Off. So nothing on approach. There's nothing. So let's taxi out. I'm gonna do a roll and take off here. No need for us to stop. It'll be 255 initially. I should have dialed that in before. So, Ron, let's Okay, up on V1, decision 113, rotate, positive right, gears coming up.
Honda 19er 76 for east departure. Honda 19er 76 leaving my airspace change.
Okay, so things are going to happen pretty fast here. So, after takeoff, landing gears up, yaws engage, flaps are up, first levers are max continuous thrust, flight guidance is in and selected, ice protection not required, cabin signs are on. So let's keep an eye on the plane and make sure it's doing what we're supposed to do. So we're making our left turn to Sierra Romeo Romeo Romeo. I think that's Catalina Island ahead of us. Not sure that you might see it on the reduced resolution.
Tower, Flightjet 590 Heavy and runway 25 ready for departure IFR to Midway. Flightjet 590 Heavy altimeter 30.04 wind 2 tree 8 at 6. Cleared for takeoff runway 25.
So we're turning downwind on the next leg.
Cleared for takeoff runway 25 Flightjet 590 Heavy.
So the airport is over on the left hand side, just out of view at the moment. Just in view now, just at the very end of the narrow end of the window there. So we're passing 9,000 feet, climbing like a homesick angel. So that's us coming up on 10,000 feet. So we can turn off the fasten seatbelt sign.
Flightjet 590 Heavy contact Santa Barbara departure on 120.55. Good day. For Flightjet 590 Heavy.
So coming up on 14,000. Let's increase that to 30,000 now. So there's the Californian coast. So we are on the next leg of the standard instrument departure, heading towards waypoint Mish-N, passing 17,000 feet for 30,000. So let's have a little look at the information. We have a ground speed of 303 knots. At the moment we have 56 knot crosswind from our left. And over 18,000 feet. So let's set the standard pressure to 992. So the climb checks, pressurization is checked and is green. Altimeters are set to the standard barometric pressure 2992. So that's the climb checks complete. Right, so let's talk to ATC.
Los Angeles Center, Honda 1976 is type 17 miles northeast of Charlie Alpha Niner 7 flight level 200. Request flight following. Honda 1976 Los Angeles Center. Squawk 7532.
7532. 7532. Enter.
Honda 1976 radar contact 18 miles west of Oxnard flight level 210.
That's us. We'll confirm that.
Honda 1976.
So, there's no traffic visible on the TCAS, and everything is nicely in the green. We can accelerate on up now to 250 knots. So the Camarillo VOR is 115.8. We'll dial that in. So we've got 16.4 miles to run to Camarillo. And from Camarillo we'll be heading northeast up towards the very last waypoint of the standard instrument departure. So if I'm not mistaken, down there underneath us is Oxnard. I'm looking for the airport down there. So we're almost about to pass over Oxnard, which is where I spent a little bit of time in hospital a couple of years ago. Just checking that none of those messages apply to us. So let's have a little look. We have an 83 knot crosswind, the very, very slight tailwind. It's given us 408 knots across the ground. As we come up on 24,600 feet, climb into 30,000.
Cessna 028 contact SoCal departure on 120.4. Good day. 127.1 Delta 1062. 120.4 for Cessna 028. Los Angeles Center, Flexjet 5.
So that's us passing the Camarillo VOR.
300 feet, climbing flight level 450.
So that's Oxnard down below us right now, and Camarillo itself. $26,200 feet. So we're almost up at our cruising altitude of 30,000.
Honda 1976 contact Los Angeles Center on 125.8.
125.8. 125.8.
125.8 Honda 1976.
So that's 125.8.
Los Angeles Center, Honda 1976 flight level 270. Honda 1976 Los Angeles Center, continue as planned. Los Angeles Center, SkyWest 3499er is at 11,800 feet, climbing flight level 210. SkyWest 3284 contact Los Angeles Center on 132.85. Good day. SkyWest 3499er Los Angeles Center altimeter 30.02. Continue to resume as planned. Going to 132.85 SkyWest 3284. SkyWest 3499er contact SoCal departure on 127.4. Good day.
So we have a fair bit of crab here because of this crosswind, which is now at 93 knots out of 314. We have a ground speed of 420 knots, which will increase a little bit very shortly once we level off at 30,000.
Alaska 1150 contact SoCal approach on 124.6. Good day. 135.5 for Southwest 998. 124.6 for Alaska 1150.
So coming up on 1,000 feet to run.
Center Delta 1062 13,000 feet. Delta 1062 Los Angeles.
So we have a
altimeter 30.00. Continue to Oshol as planned.
So we have 1,000 feet to climb.
Los Angeles Center SkyWest 3.
Starting to enter into a little bit of light chop.
Climbing flight level 210. SkyWest 3499er Los Angeles Center altimeter 30.00. Continue to resume as planned. Honda 1976 contact Los Angeles Center on 132.85.
13285.
Going to 132.85 Honda 1976.
132. decimal 85. Okay. Frequency is quite busy, so it's quite hard to get in. So that's us leveled off at 30,000 feet. I'll come back slightly on the throttle.
Los Angeles Center, Honda 1976 flight level 300. Continue as planned.
So let's have a run through the cruise checks. The altimeters are set, and the systems we will quickly monitor. So the aircraft systems. So the taxi lights are off, landing lights are off, recognitions are off, ice detection lights are off, strobes are on, beacons are on, navs are on. So that's good. Environmental, cabin pressure, temperature is good. Everything's in the green. Electricals are all in the green. Fuel, so we've burned 420 pounds of fuel so far. We still have 1,580 pounds on board. We're burning roughly 463 pounds per hour per side. So we're good for another hour of flight. We won't be flying that long. Hydraulics are all in the green. And we're in California, so the outside air temperature is minus 43. There's no precipitation, and therefore there is no ice. So let's go back to the checklists, and we can check off the cruise checklist. Next checklist is the descent checklist, but we won't need that for a little while. So we're moving up to the last waypoint on the standard instrument departure, which is the first waypoint of our actual flight plan. There's only 2 waypoints. There's an airport over there on the left hand side, KPMD. Let's have a little look and see. KPMD. So that's Palmdale Regional Airport down on the left hand side there. So we've got a ground speed of 442 knots. We have a crosswind from 311 at 100 knots now. We have an aircraft at our 1 o'clock high, not shown on on TCAS, and we have one at about 6 o'clock low. 132.3. 132.3. So there was a Southwest handed over just after us. and he's roughly 5,000 feet above us. So if there's a southwest checks in at 35,000 feet, we'll know that that is him over on our 1 o'clock. Oh, well that's not him then. Right. I'm going to click on full. So we've got about 7 minutes till we start our descent down towards Los Angeles. Everything's in the green. Everything looks good. There's an aircraft passing below us there. Maybe the Southwest that was on the radio. So we're coming up on Victorville, which is quite a famous aircraft boneyard. That looks like it over there, just off between the nose and the right wing tip. Nicola and I visited there a number of years ago when we were in our Corvette Stingray. Pretty cool place to visit. So let's have a look at the arrival chart. So this is the arrival chart. We're starting on the left hand side of the page at waypoint Misen, M-I-S-E-N. So we need to be at 24,000 feet at Misen. We still got a little bit to run before we need to start down. So for 26 left, we will track up to waypoint Romeo November Delta Romeo Zulu from waypoint Misen. And then track 019 to Beauty, and okay, so it's a bit convoluted and it's a bit small. I don't have my glasses on, but it should be fairly straightforward. What I'll do is I'll have a look on the flight plan page of Bourbon. Okay, what we can do is we can enter the approach. So I'm going to guess that they're going to give us 26 left. And so here we go, Bourbon. Alright, cool. Let's have a look at the chart. Oh, hang on. Let's get rid of this chart. Alright. So Dixon. Okay. So we can activate that. Alright.
Honda 19076 contact Los Angeles Center on 132.5. Good day.
132.5.
132.5 for Honda 19076.
1325.
Los Angeles Center, Honda 19076 flight level 300. Honda 19076 Los Angeles Center, continue as planned.
Okay, so our
Los Angeles Center, JetBlue 2223 is
VNAV is telling us that we need to descend to 24,000 feet in just over a minute's time.
center. Continue to ANGLL as planned.
So about 30 seconds to top of descent.
Los Angeles Center, Connie 2880 is at flight level 180, climbing flight level 240.
So that's us at the top of descent. So let's come back on the throttles.
0.03. Continue to WELDR as planned.
As we make our way down to 24,000 feet to cross waypoint Misen.
Southwest 2627 contact Los Angeles Center on 132.3. Good day. American Tree contact Los Angeles Center on 128.15. Good day. JetBlue 2223 contact Los Angeles Center on 128.15. Good day. 128.15 American Tree. Going to 128.15 JetBlue 2223. One tree 2.3 for Southwest 2627.
So just keeping an eye on the speed. Make sure that we don't go too fast on our descent. Just over 1,000 feet to run.
140 flight level tree 60. Delta 140 Los Angeles Center, continue the photo as planned.
1,000 feet to run.
Los Angeles Center, Delta tree 26 flight level tree 60. Delta 140 contact Los Angeles Center on 124.625. Good day. Delta tree 26 Los Angeles Center.
Speed's just a little bit on the high side. So that's us leveling off at 24,000.
128.15. Good day. Delta tree 26 contact Los Angeles Center on 128.15. Good day.
So keep the throttles up.
128.15 United 40 tree.
So the next altitude on our step down is 19,000 feet.
Going to 124.625 Delta 140 tree.
Let's come up on the throttles just a little bit. And we'll come down to 19,000 feet.
Southwest 1475 contact Los Angeles Center on 124.625. Good day. .625 for Southwest 1475.
'So the descent checks we can run through. Land and field elevation is verified at 2181 feet. Engine anti-ice is not required. Altimeters are still set to standard. Pressure will change that on passing 18,000. So that's the descent checks complete.
Spirit Wings 562 contact Los Angeles Center on 124.625.
So we're coming up on waypoint Whatever, which calls for us to be at 19,000. We're just at 20,100, so
Spirit Wings 562.
and we're descending at about 1,600 feet per minute. So we should make that altitude restriction no problem.
Honda 197 Angeles Center on
4625.
124.625 for Honda
124 625. Alright, so that's just leveling off at 19,000. So we'll come up on the throttles a little bit and try and maintain 250 knots.
Los Angeles Center, Honda 1976 flight level 190.
Delta 1403 contact Los Angeles Center on 13.65. Good day. Honda 197 Los Angeles Center, continue as
So let's see if we can pick up Vegas. McLaren, there we go. Oh, so let's get there.
Las Vegas Airport information, Mike 2200 Zulu. Wind 0 at 07 at 10. Visibility 10. Sky condition, few clouds at 9,500 feet. Temperature 10. Dew point 10. Altimeter 30.01. KLAS runway 6 left and ILS runway 26 right in use. Runway 26 left and right. VFR aircraft, major right. Aircraft back home short instructions. Advise controller on initial contact. You have Mike.
Mike, okay. So it's a little bit colder at Vegas. Temperature is 10, dew point's 10, so we need to watch for that. Clouds few at 9,500 and runways are 26 left and right. I've got a funny feeling they'll give us 26 left. So let's check in with the tower. We have information, Mike.
Las Vegas Tower, Hondo 1976 is 55 miles southwest flight level 190 with Mike to land.
Honda 1976 Las Vegas Tower. Altimeter 30.05, wind 009 at 10. Fly left traffic runway 26 left.
26 left it is then.
Fly left traffic runway 26 left, Hondo 1976.
So we'll continue on the Star. Very shortly we'll descend, make the next step, descent down to 16,000 feet. Actually, we should already be on our way down to 16,000 feet, so... So we're below 18,000 feet. We'll dial in 3001, which is the barometric pressure for the airport. So GRMA 13,000 feet. And we can continue at 16 for now. Just a little bit of power. So let's take a look around. Not much to see. Okay. So we're all good on the approach, flying the Romeo November Delta Romeo Zulu 2 RNAV arrival. 226 left. That's going to bring us up just to the south of the field, and we'll fly a left downwind before turning and making our approach into runway 26 left at Vegas. So let's check the VNAV. 12,500 feet is the next step down. So 15 seconds or so till we start the next step down. It's coming up on a little bit of light cloud up in front of us. A little bit of a micro stutter there as well, which is nice. Right. So let's start down to 12,500 feet. So we're going from waypoint GRMMA to BUETY, beauty. Okay, so we got some warning lights on here. Ice protection. So ice protection is on, engine anti-ice is on. The wing anti-ice is in auto and has come on. Just as we come up through this little layer of cloud. Coming up on 12,500 feet. Alright, so let's dial in the ILS is 111.5. So we'll dial that in. And 116.9 is the Las Vegas VOR, so we'll dial that in as well. And we can continue down to 11,000 feet. So let's run through the approach checks. The seats signs are adjusted and secure. Passenger briefings complete. Cabin signs, fasten seatbelt signs are now on. Avionics are set. Landing data is set and confirmed. We're landing 26 left. We have no messages other than the ice warnings which are on. Approach briefing is complete. And we'll set the flaps a little bit closer in. So I can see Vegas ahead of us. Right on is the next waypoint. NV to Redon, and then Bourbon. So Redon is 9,000. So let's descend down to 9,000. In fact, Bourbon is 8,000, so we'll just set that in now. So, procedures, approach. We'll dial that in a moment. So Vegas is over there on the left hand side. I can see the airport, I can see the runways, and we're now downwind. So I need to come up a little bit on the throttle. Right. So the approach charts. ILS runway 26 left. So the
Las Vegas Tower, Southwest 55, ready for departure runway 26 left IFR to Dallas Low.
let's see if we
Southwest 55 altimeter 30.01 wind 009er at 12. Caution the generic, taking off runway 26 right. Cleared for takeoff runway 26 left.
okay, so let's load that up. So we're all dialed in for our approach. We're downwind for 26 left right now, descending to 8,000 feet. So we need to slow down just a little bit. Let's have a look from outside view. So Vegas is over there behind us. So let's get the speed back to 210. So this approach is going to take us out over Boulder City. And we'll be making a left turn back towards Vegas.
Southwest 55 contact Las Vegas departure on 133.95. Good day. Going to 133.95 Southwest 55.
So I can see Boulder City Airport just ahead of us. So let's make our turn back towards Vegas. Vertical speed mode. Let's descend at 1,000 feet per minute.
Las Vegas Tower, Giant Tree, 679 are ready for IFR departure, runway 26 left. Giant Tree, 679 altimeter, 30.01 wind, 008 at 9er. Caution the generic, taking off runway 26 right. Cleared for takeoff runway 26 left.
So speeds are good. We're coming down on 6,500 feet. We're going to make a manual turn towards LAR.
679er.
So that's Boulder City below us. So I'm going to switch the nav mode from FMS to VOR1. So course 259 is dialed in and 111.5. So we're base lag for Vegas, airport 26 left. And there's no traffic ahead.
Giant Tree, 679er contact, Las Vegas departure on 125.9er. Good day.
So the speed's bleeding off with power.
9er for Giant Tree, 679er.
So visual with the field. I don't see any conflicting traffic. I'll select nav mode. Speed back to 180. Alright, so localizer is alive. We're turning final. Just over 10 miles. Sorry, 18 miles. So this is quite a long final. So we just blew through the localizer a little bit. We need to come back to the left. So we keep the speed to 180. And let's check our landing reference. So Our approach speed is 110, our VREF is 105. So we can set flaps to approach, and that completes the approach checklist. So speeds to 180. So start to descend on the glide slope. So we're slightly to the right of center line. Let's make a little bit of a correction, seeing as we've got two parallel runways. Okay, so we got a crosswind from the right at 11 knots or so. We are established on final for 26 left. And we are just under 10 miles to run, so we'll run through the landing checks. Gear is down. That's 3 green. Speed brake is retracted. Flaps are set to approach. VREF is 105. We'll slow down a little bit closer in, and we'll disengage the autopilot a little bit closer as well. So this bleed is bleeding off nicely. Flaps to the landing position. VREF was, our V-approach was 110, so we'll look for 120.
Las Vegas Tower Southwest, 681 ready for departure runway 26 left IFR to Long Beach.
So there's an aircraft departing ahead of us.
30.00 wind 009er at 10. Cleared for takeoff runway 26 left. Honda 19er 76 wind 009er at 10. Cleared to land runway 26 left.
So that's us got our landing clearance.
Clear to land runway 26.
So landing checks, thrust levers are manual, brakes will apply after touchdown, and speed brake we won't require because we have quite a long runway. So landing checks complete. So let's look for our VREF plus 5, which will give us 110. Okay, feet are on the pedals. 1,000 feet.
Autopilot.
So we'll disconnect the autopilot. There's an aircraft landing on the parallel, just overtaking us.
5 500, 400,
Southwest 681 contact, Las Vegas departure on 125.9er. Good day.
300,
A little bit windy.
200,
25.9er Southwest 681.
100,
Wow.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5,
That was a little bit of a mad crabbed approach, but we are down.
Turn next taxiway.
Okay. So we landed just about the same time as an Airbus A320 did on the parallel runway. So after landing checks, cabin signs are on. Engine anti-ice is not required now. Off. Speed brake is retracted. Flaps are up. And the trims are in the green.
Ground on 127.9er.
127.9.
127.9er, Honda 1976.
127.9.
Las Vegas Airport information, Mike 2300 Zulu. Wind 009er at 10. Visibility 10.
So let's ask for taxi to the parking.
76 request taxi to parking.
Honda 1976 taxi to general aviation parking using taxiway Alpha 5 Alpha Alpha 6 cross runway 8 left Golf Whiskey cross runway 1 right Whiskey cross runway 1 left Whiskey Foxtrot Bravo Hotel.
Wow. So let's have a look here on the. So we've just landed on the runway at the very bottom of the page. We're at Alpha.
Taxiing to general aviation parking via taxiway Alpha 5
We're at Alpha 5.
runway 8 left Golf Whiskey cross runway 1 right Whiskey cross runway 1 left Whiskey Foxtrot Bravo Hotel, Honda 1907.
So we write this down here. Alpha 5 Alpha. Alpha 6. Cross runway 8 left. Cross runway 1 right. Whiskey Foxtrot Bravo Hotel. Whiskey Bravo Foxtrot Hotel. Alright, so that was a bit of a nightmare of an instruction. We'll just leave that window open so that I can see. And we'll taxi on up. Hopefully there's nothing. It looks like there's one on approach, so we might get told to hold short here. Let's hope that we don't. So this is Alpha 5, cross runway 8 left. So runway is clear, both sides. Golf Whiskey.
Alaska 1236 requesting pushback. Alaska 1236 pushback request accepted.
Alpha 6. Whiskey Foxtrot. Right, so I think I'm going the right way. I should have probably asked for a gate rather than general aviation parking. This is Bravo 6, not Alpha 6. So we should have followed the parallel on the left, but we'll just go this way.
Las Vegas ground Alaska 1236 requesting the end of pushback. Alaska 1236 request to end pushback received. Las Vegas ground Alaska 1236 with November ready to taxi IFR. Alaska 1236 taxi to and hold short of runway 26 right via taxiway Charlie Bravo. Contact tower on 118.75 when ready.
Right. So we're coming up on runways right. So we've got a taxi across these two runways, and the general aviation parking is pretty much straight ahead. Oh, I forgot to lose that map there. So
Las Vegas ground Spirit Wings 12905 requesting pushback. Spirit Wings 12905 pushback request accepted. Las Vegas ground Southwest 585 requesting pushback. Southwest 585 pushback request accepted.
it's quite a busy airport here. So we're following parallel to the runway that was parallel to the one we landed on. There's another couple of parallel runways up here that we need to cross over.
Wings 12905 requesting the end of pushback.
I'm taxiing a bit fast.
Spirit Wings 12905 request to end pushback received.
Whiskey Foxtrot Bravo Hotel. So this is the first of the
Ground Spirit Wings 12905
parallel runways that we're going to cross over.
Spirit Wings 12905 taxi to and hold short of runway 26 right via taxiway Golf 1 Golf Whiskey Charlie Bravo. Contact tower on 118.75 when ready. Taxi to and hold short runway 26 right using taxiway Golf 1 Golf Whiskey Charlie Bravo Spirit Wings 12905.
So that's the first of the two parallel runways. A little bit of a hill here. We're almost. So that's what echo. Come on, get up the hill. Whiskey Foxtrot Bravo Hotel. Right. So there's hotel. Whiskey Foxtrot Bravo Hotel. So somewhere up here on the left hand side. See if there's any marshals looking for us. There's the Mandalay Bay Hotel on our left. So I think I can see a marshal over there. So let's turn in. So we do indeed have a marshal over here, but we'll need to spin around 180. Here's the marshaller. There we go, park and brake set. Okay, so let's run through the shutdown checklist. The park and brake was just set. Wheel chocks will be installed. Let's some actions. Anyway, we can come back to that. Wheel chocks will be installed. Engine anti-ice is off. External power is off. Thrust levers are cut off. Cabin signs are off. Oxygen supply is pulled off. Park and brake is released, and the battery will turn off in a moment. So let's open the doors. There we go. So let's jump to outside view, and there we are. Somebody over there at the back of us has had an accident. He's got one wing in the ground. So there we go, the Hondajet from Santa Barbara to Las Vegas. So that was a total flight time of 1 hour, 1 minute and 27 seconds. So that'll do us for now. Adios.